Hello, everybody, and welcome to Aerospace Cookies. We've got a different person in this chair today. Ileana is on maternity leave now. I am the second favorite daughter, Adelaide. And today I'm joined by my dad, Mark, and the most important guest star. This is Griffin.
Well, who's your cat?
Oh, he is my cat. He's very cute.
Or rather, you're his human.
Yes.
Because that's the way cats roll.
I was the one who got him out of the gutter on accident. That's a whole different story. We should tell that story sometime, though. But today, what we are talking about is a short story called Runaround. That's what we both read to prepare for this, although I read it like a month ago. So he read it more recently, so he might remember the details. And there is our other guest star. I don't know if the microphones are picking up. That cat's name is Meows. He's very loud.
He's going to rub against the tripods and knock him over. Now, yes. Good boy.
Okay, sing your song.
Now he's quiet.
Oh, yeah,
he's
of course.
Never quiet.
All right.
He got stage fright.
Wow. Well, we're getting really sidetracked by the cats today.
So Runaround by Isaac Asimov.
Yes.
Who is one of my absolute favorite authors. He and Arthur Clarke are probably my two favorite science fiction authors. And I think what really distinguishes them is they both have technical and scientific backgrounds, unlike many of your science fiction authors today.
Yes. And Asimov is considered one of the fathers of science fiction, I think. I don't know.
Well, it certainly peaked during the golden age of science fiction.
He is one of the more popular science fiction authors because he was more science than fiction. Some science fiction tends to lean very fiction, but
I'd agree with that. He was a well-educated person writing stories to well-educated people.
That's a good way of putting it. And one of the things Isaac Asimov talked a lot about that applies to us today is robotics. He is famous for his 3 laws of robotics.
Yes.
The reason I wanted to talk about Runaround is because it explores those 3 laws of robotics really well.
Which is really, I mean, there's a lot going on about talking about artificial intelligence. And of course, his robots, and the reason why he has the 3 laws is because they are artificially intelligent.
Yeah. So should I start by just reading off the 3 laws of robotics?
Yes, please.
All right. I got them pulled up. Okay. Rule 1, a robot may not injure a human being or, through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm. 2, a robot must obey the orders given it by human beings except where such orders would conflict with the first law. And 3, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law.
So when I first read those, the question I had in my mind was, and he was writing these things in the 1950s, I think. Mm-hmm. And the question I had in my mind was this what he thought would be the nature of robots, or were they designed and developed to be that way?
Oh.
And through other books he's written, he has his book I, Robot. I think the one published by Del Rey, I'm not positive. It's a collection of his robot short stories. Mm-hmm. And, they made the movie with Will Smith, I, Robot. Really didn't care for the movie because I've read the book, That just happens all the time.
I haven't seen the movie or read the book, but I should do that so we could make an episode on it.
So he makes the point, and they kind of make the point in Will Smith's movie too, that yes, robots can deviate from the 3 laws of robotics. So it's more of some kind of social or moral or legal framework that robots must behave this way.
Well, something that I guess Runaround doesn't really explore this, but something that I have observed, and I think you've read more Asimov than I have, but I feel like one of the things he explores is what if robots become sentient and sort of go beyond their programming, what happens then? And Runaround is actually an example of an occasion where it would have been really helpful if the robot could go beyond its programming.
Yes. Yeah. Do you want to kind of recap?
You've read it more recently than me, so could you give a quick summary?
So there's spoilers here. We're going to ruin this story, but recommend you watch it, read it.
Yeah, real quick. It's in the public domain. If you just Google Runaround PDF by Isaac Asimov, you can read it for free.
Yeah, and it's a short story. It's not a novel. Mm-hmm. So yeah, pause it, read it if you want. But so here come the spoilers. So in this story, you have a couple of scientists that are on the planet Mercury. And of course, Mercury is ridiculously hot. And Mercury rotates very, very slowly. I think its day is longer than its year.
Oh,
Because it's
wow.
got this weird, there's all these unique ways that orbits form, which we won't get into. And also being so close to the sun, it has a tendency for the asymmetries in the mass of Mercury. Like our moon, one side is always facing us because that side has more mass. Because the mass is offset. So
That's
kind of
cool.
the same thing going on with Mercury. So it doesn't rotate very fast. And they are this base that they are at, these two scientists had been abandoned 10 years prior. The first mission there failed. Story doesn't give you any details on that, but they said that its failures were better than many people's successes. So,
Well, Mercury, I feel like they didn't need to give you details because it's Mercury, planet closest to the sun. I don't think things are likely to go well.
Yeah, and I thought one of the, so again, older story.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons one of the things they point out in the story is that they have plenty of power and they don't call it solar power. What was it they called it?
I don't remember.
Sun power or
have
something
it
like
open.
that. So when this was written, it was before the term solar power had really entered the American lexicon, which I thought was really funny. But anyway, so they're stranded on this planet, and because the base is old, it's got problems, and they need to get power soon or they're going to broil to death.
Mm-hmm.
And to get the power, to repair the power system, the batteries, they need to get some selenium, which is plentiful on the surface of Mercury.
Maybe I should not interrupt yet, but one of the things I was curious about, is that a real material, or was that just the MacGuffin invented for the story?
I believe it's an element.
Oh.
And if I remember, as you recall, there were some things in there about chemistry. This reacts with this, and then you get this.
Kind of went over my head a bit, but...
The same here, because it's been a while since I've had my chemistry class. But
I'm an English major, so I really...
But I think Isaac Asimov's academic background was in chemistry.
Oh,
so
cool.
It wasn't as painful as 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and marine biology, though. We'll have to talk about that sometime too.
That's a funny one.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we're just gonna skip those pages. This isn't this one's not that bad.
Yeah.
So selenium, I believe, is an element, and so the chemistry went over my head. But I bet if you dug into it and did the balance the chemical equations, you'd find out what he was talking about. So anyway, they have to get selenium, and they send out this robot of theirs to go get the selenium. And the robot doesn't come back. And they're like, whoa, if we don't get the selenium, we're going to die. And so there were some old robots, old not only in age, but in technology. And so they wind up using these older robots to go out there to try to rescue Speedy, who is the robot they sent out to get the selenium. And Speedy has gotten into this, what we call in programming, an endless loop that he can't escape from. And what's happened is, so rule number 3 is what?
It is?
He has to protect, the robot has to protect itself, right?
Yes, basically.
And rule number 2 is it has to obey human commands, so long as those don't conflict with the higher laws. And so Speedy's in this situation where he tries to get to the selenium, but the selenium is in an area where there are these other chemicals interacting with the selenium or something in that area that then makes it destructive to him. And so the third law kicks in and begins to override the second law, which is to go get the selenium, because that's what the humans told him to do. And so he backs off away from the selenium because of the toxic environment. And then Isaac Asimov talks about the potentials. So the potential on rule number 3 drops, the potential on rule number 2 comes up, and so then he starts headed back to the selenium. And then the two switch again, and he goes away, and he goes back, and it causes his circuits to overload. And so I want to talk about this word potential, because Isaac Asimov was not in a period of time where digital electronics were a thing. They were analog electronics. And so you're not looking at ones and zeros, on or off. You're looking at these different levels, these different
Oh,
potentials.
okay.
So his perspective was analog electronics and the circuitry of the positronic brain. By the way, if you've ever seen Star Trek, what's the second one? The second big series.
I
There's the
have
original
no
series.
idea.
It was before Deep
There's
Space
too many
Nine.
Star Treks.
Anybody behind the camera remember?
Next Generation.
The Next
Thank
Generation.
you.
Yeah, Star Trek The Next Generation. The character Data had a positronic brain, which comes from Asimov. So I don't know for sure, but I think that was a nod to Asimov's robot series because the character Data, who was an android, had a positronic brain. So anyway, he talks about the robot. He's going back and forth between these two potentials fighting with each other. It kind of saturates his circuits and he begins acting like he's drunk. And so he becomes non-receptive to commands. And they're trying to figure out how to break him out of this loop of going toward the Selenium, away from it, toward it, away from it, toward it, away from it. And I don't think we're going to ruin the end, do we?
I think we got to if we're going to discuss it. But let's
Yeah,
go
I
on this
guess we
point
do.
for a
I
while.
do.
I had a couple things I wanted to mention about
Sure.
that. First off, the robot being drunk, it's just funny.
Yes.
Just really enjoyed reading that. He just like starts spouting off random poetry and random things. One of the things I was interested in, Asimov, in the stories of his I've read, he writes his robots with a lot of personality. And I felt
He
like
does,
Speedy
yeah.
had a lot of personality. He didn't feel like a mechanical robot. He felt like a character who got drunk. So I guess what I'm curious about, do you think there are any real world analogs for a robot getting drunk? Is this something that can happen in real life?
Getting drunk, I don't think so.
Mhm.
But as we've seen with AI will begin to hallucinate.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of paralegals have gotten into a lot of trouble, and attorneys have gotten into trouble because they will submit something to the court, and then they will have used AI to generate it, and this thing they submit to the court cites case law, and it's all made up. AI
Yeah.
just totally made it up. And a lot of, especially early on in this AI revolution, people were doing very, very bad things with AI, trying to pervert the AI, both literally and figuratively, try to turn AI into a pedophile. AIs have told people to kill themselves and done other horrible, horrible things. So on the humorous side, yeah, I'm sure that can happen too,
Yeah.
but it doesn't make the news.
I'd like to mention, speaking of AI hallucinating, if you want to test this for yourself, if you ask AI, pick your favorite show and say, tell me the episode where this happened, and make up a plot for an episode that didn't happen, it'll tell you. I tried this out with Avatar: The Last Airbender because that's my favorite show. And I said, tell me which episode Sokka and Suki get married in. Which Sokka and Suki are in a relationship, but they don't get married during the show. And at first it said, oh, Sokka and Suki don't get married in the show. So I was like, okay, maybe this doesn't work. But I just decided to try. I said, yes, they do. Tell me which episode it is. And it went, oh, you're right, of course. Yes, they do get married. It's like season 3, episode 12. And it's just lied. It made up an episode that didn't exist because AI doesn't know how to admit it's wrong. And
Well, it has no morality.
yeah. And the people who make AI have tried to program it with morality, but AI doesn't actually have any. So if an immoral person uses it, they can use it for immoral things.
Yeah, like so many things in this world, from hammers to knives to guns to computers, it's just a tool. You can do good things with it. You can do bad things with it.
I would agree with that.
So we're going to ruin the ending then?
One more thing I wanted to mention that I think is really interesting about
Okay.
the way Isaac Asimov wrote Runaround. So we've got the 3 rules of robotics. When I read them off in order, the first rule is the most important, then second, third.
Yes.
Asimov, in this story, explains them in reverse. When I read Runaround for the first time, I did not know the 3 laws of robotics. I'd vaguely heard them mentioned, but I didn't really know for sure what they were. And so this was the story that I really learned the 3 rules of robotics from. And he explains them in reverse order. He explains the least important one first, which it's still important because it's one of the 3 laws, which is for the robot to preserve itself.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go backwards to the second law, which is to obey commands.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so the
and of course, there's
scientists-
levels in there also.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not a strongly commanded command, then self-preservation can override the second one.
Yeah, so
on those,
that's
again, on those
so that's one of
potentials.
the things they try is to do a more strongly worded command so it'll override
But because it's drunk, it's not listening.
yeah. So they try a few times to work with the second and third laws and to adjust the potentials, which I'm glad you explained why the word potential was used because I thought that was an interesting word choice. But ultimately, they realize the second and third rules are too in conflict. This robot's too drunk. The only way they can solve this problem is if they use the first rule, which trumps all other rules. And the first rule of robotics is that robots can't harm humans or allow humans to come to harm.
Through inaction, yeah.
Yeah. So can you explain how they use the first rule to...
Yes. So, as I mentioned, there were these older robots that were in
Mhm.
the base, older technologically. And it's kind of interesting in the story because, as we struggle with what are the roles of robots going to be in our society and how are we going to ensure they don't go crazy on us and, enslave humanity or do a Skynet and nuke all of humanity. They just make a brief reference that these older robots were in a period of time where robots weren't trusted. So the robots would not move, and they were huge robots, like 9 feet
Mhm.
tall, sitting down. The robots would not move or take any action unless the human was riding it like a horse
Mhm.
and sitting up on his shoulder and had these ears, I guess, handles to hang on to. So the robot absolutely would not move unless a human was on it. And so they couldn't send these older robots out to find Speedy and bring him back, which they tried. They had to ride the robots. And they had these spacesuits that enabled them to spend, I think it was 20 minutes in direct sunlight on Mercury, which is where Speedy was. And Speedy
Mhm.
was designed to exist indefinitely in those conditions. And so they'd have to ride out there, try to get Speedy, and then run back into the shade. And so they realize, the only way we're going to rescue Speedy, which is essential to our survival, is to bring the first law into effect, which means I have to put myself in a position where I'm going to die. And then and only then will the second and third rules get so low potential compared to that first rule that Speedy will go rescue him.
Mhm.
And so they ride the robot out there. Then he dismounts this robot and he goes around the horn. There's no going back. He now will die. There is no way for him to save himself. Only Speedy can save him. And he starts calling to Speedy. Well, and then this older robot, which could only move if it's being ridden, well, his first law kicks in. And so this
Mhm.
robot that normally wouldn't move unless a human was riding it violates those commands to itself because that's second law
Mhm.
and goes after first law to rescue him. And he's like, holy cow, if this robot rescues me, we're not going to get Speedy. So he's running away, trying to get away from the older robot to try to get Speedy.
Yeah, meanwhile, he's in Mercury, closest planet to the sun. It is not easy to run in that spacesuit or in 10 bazillion degree heat, which is a very accurate number, by the way.
Yes, bazillion. That is 10 to the pi, I think, isn't it?
Sure, sounds right to me.
So, if I remember right, he passes out, and when he wakes up, Speedy had rescued him, and Speedy, when you talk about the character of the robot,
Yeah.
Speedy was off, hiding in a closet somewhere because he was very embarrassed that he had failed to respond to their commands by becoming drunk. But in the end, of course, it had a happy ending, and Speedy was forgiven for the problem that wasn't really his fault to begin with.
Yeah. One of the things that I think is really interesting from a story standpoint is, he walks into a situation where he's going to die, but they also know that if Speedy can't get the selenium, that's what it's called, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so if Speedy can't get the selenium, they will die. So he has to put himself into a safe situation that, from an outside perspective, might look really stupid to go into a situation where you're going to die unless this drunk robot rescues you.
Uh-huh.
But their only other option was to die later. So
yeah, like 2 or 3 days was all they were going to survive.
So I
guess we have to wrap up the story. How did they get the selenium? Well, as I mentioned, it was plentiful on the surface, and it was just that one spot where this chemical reaction was happening that would put the robot Speedy in danger. And so they located another source of selenium and sent him there, and he got the selenium, and
so they
all survived. Yeah.
And another thing I remember, you've read it more recently, but I believe they just decided to make the second rule's potential for sure stronger than the third rule's potential. So they basically say, go get the selenium no matter what.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Do nothing else. And yeah, they drove up the importance of, by the wording, to make sure that even if you die, you must get this selenium. If robots die.
Good question.
if you are unalived.
Oh, that's right. We're on the internet. We can't say die or kill or I don't know. I said pie and krill. Those are the words I said.
And krill, yes.
So very interesting in this story, the way that the 3 rules of robotics are explained. Very interesting to see what Isaac Asimov gets right and wrong about our day. How do you think the 3 rules of robotics are relevant to our day? We've got a ton of automation as well as some AI.
Let me add kind of a parallel question and say instead, how is Isaac Asimov relevant today? And I think he is extremely relevant, and I think we need to go back and look at some of his books. And this is one of the things I love about science fiction. And I'm not talking the space opera, the future fantasy, and all that. I'm talking the real science fiction, which is we develop this technology, or rather, looks like mankind will develop this technology, and then the science fiction kicks in and says, how is that going to change society? And Isaac Asimov did a whole lot of that kind of looking at how would robotics change today. And to make it clear, he saw robots as artificially intelligent, as you mentioned. So it's really a question of how is artificial intelligence going to impact humanity? And one of the things that fell out of his projections of the future is that robots would become a problem, and they would begin to hurt and kill and maim people. And so that is where the 3 laws of robotics developed as a necessity to protect humans from the takeover of AI. And so these questions were asked more than 50 years ago. And the morality of them was already explored. And so we shouldn't think that we're so much smarter now and just start over from ground zero. We should take Isaac Asimov work and other science fiction authors and other people who have debated these moral questions about technology, start from there and build on their shoulders. As Isaac Newton said, if I have seen further, it is because I have stood on the shoulders of giants.
That is an excellent point. And I think that might be a really good point to end our episode on, the value of sci-fi. Maybe it's not true, but it has truth in it. The story itself isn't true, but the principles it discusses are very true and still very relevant. Even though this work was written, I don't know, how long ago?
A long time ago.
Before I was born, that's for sure. Well, thank you for speaking with me today. Do you have any final points?
No, I really enjoyed chatting with you about this.
I really enjoyed this too. And thank you everybody for watching, and stay tuned. We're going to make an upcoming video on Cal, where we're going to talk about AI and writing. That's another Isaac Asimov short story. So we'll see you then. Bye.
See you later.